I live alone in a small apartment on the third floor of an old building. It's the kind of place people rent because it's cheap, not because it's nice. The walls are thin. The hallway lights flicker sometimes. At night, the building makes sounds that don't always make sense. Pipes knock, floors creak, doors slam when no one is there. Still, it was home. I had lived there for almost 2 years without problems. No break-ins, no strange neighbors, nothing that made me feel unsafe. But I've always been careful. Every night, I lock my door. It's a habit, one I never skip. I don't just lock it, I check it. I turn the handle, I pull it hard. Sometimes I step back and stare at it for a second, just to be sure. That night was no different. I got home around 10:30 p.m. It had been a long day. I remember feeling tired in my bones, the kind of tired that makes your head heavy and your thoughts slow. I heated leftover food, ate it standing up in the kitchen, then washed my plate and put it away. The apartment felt quiet. Too quiet, maybe, but I didn't think much of it at the time. I turned off the kitchen light and walked to the front door. I locked it. I remember the sound, the solid click, the way the lock felt tight when I tested it. Locked. Satisfied, I walked down the short hallway toward my bedroom. My bedroom door stays half open at night, always has. I don't like the feeling of being completely closed in. I like knowing I can hear what's happening in the apartment. I changed into sleep clothes, lay on my bed, and picked up my phone. I scrolled without really paying attention, just letting my mind slow down. The apartment was silent. No music, no voices, no movement. Eventually, my eyes started to close. I put my phone on the bedside table and turned onto my side. I fell asleep. I don't know how much time passed before I woke up, but when I did, I knew something was wrong immediately. It wasn't a loud noise that woke me. It was a small sound, a soft click. At first, my sleepy mind tried to explain it away. Maybe the building, maybe a pipe, maybe someone in another apartment. But then I realized what it sounded like. A lock. My eyes snapped open. I stared at the dark shape of my bedroom doorway. The hallway was dark, but faint light from outside filtered into the living room, just enough to cast shadows. I held my breath and listened. Nothing. My heart was beating faster now. I told myself I was imagining things, that I had dreamed it. Then I heard another sound. A slow creak. The front door. Opening. Fear hit me all at once, sharp and cold. My chest tightened so hard it hurt. I lay perfectly still, afraid that even breathing too loudly would give me away. Footsteps followed. Soft footsteps. Not rushed, not clumsy. Careful. Someone was inside my apartment. My mind raced. Did I forget to lock the door? Was it a neighbor? Someone confused? But deep down I knew this wasn't an accident. The footsteps crossed the living room. I could tell by the sound changing from carpet to tile. Then they stopped. Silence filled the apartment again. I lay there, staring at the doorway, waiting for something, anything to happen. Seconds stretched into minutes. Then the footsteps started again. This time, they were closer. In the hallway. Each step was slow, controlled, like the person knew the space, like they had been here before. I reached for my phone, moving as slowly as I could. My hands were shaking so badly I had to grip the edge of the mattress to steady myself. I didn't turn the screen on. I didn't dare. The footsteps stopped right outside my bedroom door. I could see a shadow on the floor now, a dark shape blocking what little light there was. Someone was standing there, watching. The bedroom door moved, just a little. The gap widened by an inch. I felt tears sting my eyes.
My body felt heavy, frozen. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but fear held me down. The door stopped moving. Silence again. Then I heard breathing. Not mine. It was slow and quiet, but inescapable. Someone was breathing just outside my room. The shadow didn't move. Whoever it was stood there for what felt like forever, listening. I pressed my face into my pillow, trying to make myself smaller, quieter. My heart hammered so hard I was sure they could hear it. Then the shadow shifted. The door opened wider. A shoulder appeared, an arm, dark clothes blending into the darkness of my room. The person stepped inside. The floor creaked softly. Once, then again. They were fully inside my bedroom now. I squeezed my eyes shut and pretended to sleep. I tried to slow my breathing, but my body betrayed me. My chest rose and fell too fast. They stopped near my bed. I felt it immediately, the presence of another person so close that the air itself felt different. They leaned over me. I could smell them. Old fabric, cold air, something faintly sour. Their breath brushed my face. They stayed there, hovering over me for a long time. Then I felt the mattress sink near my feet. They sat down. My muscles locked, my thoughts scattered. I wanted to scream, to kick, to run, but fear kept me still. The person shifted slightly, adjusting their weight. The bed creaked softly. Then they spoke, very quietly. "I know you're awake." My blood turned to ice. I couldn't control my breathing anymore. A shaky breath escaped me. They laughed, a short, dry sound. "You always check the lock, every night." My mind reeled. They had watched me. They leaned closer. "I've seen you do it," they whispered. I felt a finger brush my ankle. That was enough. Something snapped inside me. I screamed. I kicked hard, rolling off the bed and scrambling to my feet. I grabbed my phone and ran for the door, pushing past them with everything I had. They stumbled back, surprised. I didn't look back. I ran out of the apartment barefoot, screaming for help, banging on my neighbor's door. Lights turned on. Someone shouted. A door opened. I collapsed into my neighbor's apartment, shaking and crying. The police came quickly. They searched my apartment from top to bottom. No one was there. The front door was closed, locked. No broken windows, no forced entry. The officer looked at me carefully and asked if I might have dreamed it. I showed them the bedroom. The mattress still had an imprint near the foot of the bed. The inside of the bedroom door had fingerprints. They never found him. A week later, my landlord called. He asked if I had ever given a spare key to anyone. I said no. He hesitated. He said, "There shouldn't be a spare key, but one is missing." I moved out the next day. I don't sleep well anymore. Every night, I check the lock, and I never leave my bedroom door open, because sometimes I still hear breathing in the hallway.
I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment on the fourth floor of a narrow concrete building. The hallway outside my door is long and poorly lit, and at night it feels like it never ends. I moved there because it was cheap and close to work, not because it felt safe. Still, after a few months, I got used to it. I locked my door every night, kept to myself, and stayed in my bedroom once it was dark. Nothing bad had ever happened to me before. That changed slowly in ways I didn't notice at first. The first thing was the smell. One night when I came home around midnight, my apartment smelled faintly like soap and warm water, like someone had just taken a shower. I stood in the doorway, keys still in my hand, confused.
I hadn't been home all day. I checked the bathroom. The floor was dry. The mirror was clean. Nothing looked wrong. I told myself the smell came from another apartment and drifted in through the vents. I locked the door and went to bed. A few nights later, I noticed the bedroom window was unlocked. I always lock it. Always. I stood there staring at the latch, my heart beating faster than it should. I locked it again and checked the rest of the apartment. Nothing else was out of place. I slept badly that night, waking up at every small sound. After that, things started to feel wrong in small, quiet ways. My bedroom door would be open when I was sure I had closed it. The bathroom light would be off when I remembered leaving it on. One morning, I found a wet footprint on the tile floor, leading from the bathroom toward the hallway. Just one footprint, bare, too big to be mine. I stood there for a long time, staring at it, until my legs started to shake. I wiped it away and went to work without eating. I began checking my apartment every night before bed. Closets, under the bed, behind the shower curtain. I checked the locks twice, sometimes 3 times. I started sleeping with my bedroom door locked, something I had never done before. It didn't help. I still felt watched. The first time I heard him, it was around 2:30 a.m. I woke up because my bedroom felt different, like the air had shifted. I lay still, listening. Then I heard a soft sound from the living room, a drawer sliding open, slowly, carefully. My heart started pounding so hard it hurt. I reached for my phone but didn't turn the screen on. I didn't want light. I didn't want noise. I just listened. Footsteps moved across the apartment, not rushed, not sloppy. Whoever it was knew where they were going. I heard the bathroom door open, then the sound of water running, the sink. I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from making a sound. I could hear him breathing faintly, humming under the sound of the water, like he was comfortable, like he belonged there. The water stopped. Footsteps again, closer now. My bedroom door handle moved slightly, just enough to test it. It didn't open. The lock held. I lay there shaking, staring at the dark outline of the door. He stood there for a long time. I could see his shadow under the door. Then he stepped away. I heard the front door open, then close. Silence. I didn't sleep after that. In the morning, everything looked normal. The door was locked, no damage, no signs of entry. I almost convinced myself I dreamed it. Almost. Until I found the bathroom trash can emptied. I hadn't taken it out. The next week was hell. I started finding signs every morning. Toothpaste squeezed differently, the toilet seat warm, the bedroom window unlocked again. I bought a small camera and hid it in the living room, pointed at the front door. That night, I locked myself in my bedroom and waited. At 1:47 a.m., my phone buzzed with a notification, motion detected. I didn't open the app. I couldn't. I just stared at the phone, my body frozen. Then I heard the front door unlock, slowly, quietly. The sound felt loud enough to tear through my chest. Footsteps entered. He didn't rush. He took his time. I heard the fridge open, close, a cabinet, a glass being set down. Then footsteps toward the hallway, toward my bedroom. He stopped outside the door. I could hear him breathing clearly now, calm, steady, like he wasn't afraid at all. My bedroom door handle turned. It didn't open. He tried again, still locked. He laughed softly. "You're awake," he said. His voice was low, familiar in a way that made my skin crawl. I didn't respond. I couldn't. My throat felt locked. "I don't want your room," he continued calmly. "I just need the bathroom." The handle stopped moving. Footsteps walked away. I heard the bathroom door open. The shower turned on. I could hear him humming again, like before, like this was normal. I stayed in my bed shaking for over an hour. When the water stopped, I heard him walk back down the hallway. The front door opened, closed, silence. In the morning, I finally checked the camera. The footage showed my door opening at exactly 1:47 a.m. A man walked in, tall, thin, wearing dark clothes. He didn't look at the camera. He walked straight to the kitchen, then the bathroom, then the hallway. He stopped outside my bedroom. His face leaned close to the camera in the hallway. He smiled. Then the footage cut out. I called the police. They searched the apartment. Again, no forced entry. The locks were intact. The landlord arrived and went pale when I showed him the footage. He told me the previous tenant had died in the apartment, found in the bathroom. Heart attack, they said, middle of the night, alone. I moved out that day. I don't live alone anymore. I don't sleep with my bedroom door unlocked, and I never ignore small signs. Because sometimes someone doesn't break in. Sometimes they just come back.
I live in an apartment complex where every unit looks the same. Same doors, same hallways, same lights buzzing overhead. When I first moved in, I liked that. It felt anonymous, like no one paid attention to anyone else. I work late, so most nights I come home after midnight. I unlock my door, step inside, lock it behind me, and go straight to my bedroom. That routine never changed. I thought that meant no one noticed me. I was wrong. It started with the sounds. At first, it was just footsteps in the hallway outside my apartment late at night. I assumed it was neighbors coming home or someone going out for a smoke. But the footsteps always slowed when they reached my door. Always. I would hear them pause right outside, then continue down the hall. I tried to ignore it. Apartment buildings are noisy. That's what I told myself. Then one night, I came home and found my bedroom light on. I stood frozen in the doorway, keys tight in my hand. I never leave lights on. I checked the rest of the apartment. Nothing else was wrong. No missing items, no broken locks. I turned the light off and went to bed, but I didn't sleep well. I kept thinking about how bright the room looked when I walked in, like someone had been standing there recently. A few days later, I noticed a smell. Not strong, just faint, like someone else's soap, not mine. It was strongest in the bedroom. I sniffed my sheets, my clothes, my pillow. The smell wasn't on them, it was in the air. I opened the window and tried to forget about it. That night, I woke up at exactly 3:12 a.m. I didn't know why at first. Then I heard it, breathing, very quiet, coming from inside my apartment. I lay still, staring at the ceiling, counting my breaths. The breathing stopped. Then I heard the soft sound of my bedroom door moving. It opened just a little, enough for light from the hallway to spill into the room. I closed my eyes and pretended to sleep. The door didn't open all the way. Whoever it was just stood there, watching. I could feel it, that heavy feeling you get when someone is staring at you. After a long time, the door closed again. I didn't hear footsteps leaving. That scared me more than anything. In the morning, my bedroom door was open. I started changing my routine. I came home at different times. I turned lights on and off randomly. I even slept on the couch a few nights. But no matter what I did, I kept feeling watched. The footsteps outside my door continued, always slowing, always pausing. One night, I stayed awake on purpose. I lay in bed with the lights off, phone in my hand, watching the time. At 3:11 a.m., I heard the footsteps. They stopped outside my door. My heart was pounding so loud I was sure he could hear it. Then I heard something worse, a quiet voice right outside. "He's in his room now." My blood ran cold. The handle turned slightly, not enough to open, just enough to test. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. After a few seconds, the footsteps moved away. The next morning, I found a note under my door. It said, "You sleep lightly." I called the police.
They searched the building, checked cameras, found nothing. No one matched the description I gave because I had never seen his face. The officer told me to get a better lock and stay alert. That night, I barricaded my bedroom door with a chair and slept with the lights on. I woke up to the sound of someone tapping on the door, slow, gentle, like they were testing my patience. Then the voice spoke again. "Now I know your schedule." The tapping stopped. Footsteps walked away. The next day, my landlord called me. He asked if I had been complaining about noise. I said yes. He hesitated, then told me something that made my stomach drop. Another tenant had reported someone entering their apartment at night, using the bedroom, standing there, watching. They never caught him. I moved out a week later. Sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I still feel it, that sense that someone knows exactly when I go to bed, and that one day they might come back.
I used to think the safest moment of the day was entering my hotel room and closing the door behind me. That sound, the click of the lock, always made me relax. It meant I was inside and everything dangerous was outside. That belief lasted until the night I realized someone had already been there before me. I was staying in a small budget hotel on the outskirts of the city. The kind of place with narrow hallways, flickering lights, peeling wallpaper, and doors that squeak when you open them. The smell in the hallways was always faintly musty, mixed with cleaning chemicals, like the building itself was tired. I checked in late after work, around 1 a.m., and I usually went straight to my room, locked the door, and tried to sleep. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't linger in the lobby, just the elevator, the hallway, and my door. That night, everything felt off. When I inserted the key card and opened the door, the air inside hit me first. Warmer than usual, slightly stale, heavy in a way I couldn't place, like someone had been breathing in it all night. My suitcase, which I always placed near the desk, had been shifted. Not far, just enough that I noticed immediately. I froze. Maybe the cleaning staff had entered? But no one was supposed to be in the room at this hour. I always double-checked the "Do Not Disturb" sign when I left, and it had been hanging in place all day. I stepped inside slowly, scanning every corner. The lights were dim, the bathroom door was closed, the closet was closed. The bed looked normal at first glance, but then I noticed it. The sheets weren't as I had left them. Smooth, yes, but the blanket was folded tighter, the pillow was turned over, and the mattress had a clear dent on my side, like someone had been lying or sitting there, not sleeping, waiting. I backed away slowly, heart hammering in my chest. My phone was in my hand, ready to call the front desk or even the police, but I hesitated. What would I say? Someone was in my room before me? They'd probably think I was imagining it. I told myself to calm down. Maybe I was tired. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me after a long day. But even as I told myself that, my stomach churned. Something was very wrong. I walked to the bathroom, flicked on the light, and checked every corner. Nothing. Clean towels folded neatly, no footprints on the tiles. Everything seemed normal, but the smell lingered, sweaty, sour, like old clothes. I tried to ignore it. Returning to the bedroom, I sat on the edge of the bed, trying to reason with myself. Maybe someone had entered earlier and left. Maybe a guest had wandered in by mistake, but the locks always worked, and the hallway was quiet. I had never seen anyone else near my room all day. Around 2 a.m., I began to feel it, a presence, a weight, not something I could see, just sense. The kind of feeling when you walk into a room and every instinct tells you you are not alone. I froze. The air grew colder. Not a draft, something else. Then I heard it. A soft sound, barely audible, almost like a sigh. My breath caught. I strained my ears. The sound came again, slow, deliberate, breathing, not mine. I didn't move. I couldn't. My phone felt useless in my hand. The sound was coming from the corner near the closet, my closet door, always closed, always safe, but tonight it seemed different. The breathing stopped suddenly. Silence. I forced myself to swallow. Then a whisper, soft, calm, close. I was here earlier. My entire body stiffened. Not a hallucination, not imagination. That voice was real, human, and it was in my room. I wanted to run, to call for help, to leave, but I couldn't. My legs were frozen. My hands trembled. I could smell it now. Sweat, old clothes, something metallic like blood or rust. The whisper came again, playful this time. I like your room. It's quiet, perfect for watching. I stayed absolutely still, pretending to be asleep. My mind raced. Who could it be? The front desk? No, impossible. Cleaning staff? They would have knocked. Another guest? The hotel was mostly empty that night. Then I felt the bed shift. Not the mattress settling, actual weight. Someone perched on the edge, watching me. I could feel it, close enough to reach out and touch. The room suddenly felt smaller, the air heavy. My heart raced so fast I could hear it in my ears. I tried to stay silent, not breathing, not moving. The breathing resumed again, slow, deliberate, right beside me. I could feel it in my hair, on my shoulder. The whispered words came again, barely audible, but unmistakable. You shouldn't have come back. My stomach dropped. My mind screamed at me to move, to run, but I stayed, too scared to do anything that might provoke him. I told myself maybe if I didn't react, he would leave. Minutes passed, or hours, I couldn't tell. The breathing stopped again. I thought maybe I had imagined it. I slowly opened my eyes. The room was empty. No shadows, no footprints, nothing. The closet was closed. Sunlight streamed through the blinds hours later. I had stayed awake until dawn. I hadn't moved. When I finally dared to look around, the room was as I had left it before I came back. The suitcase was in its place, the sheets smooth, the pillow correctly positioned, everything normal. Too normal. But on the pillow was a single dark hair, not mine. I checked the bathroom, the closet, even under the bed. Nothing. No forced entry, no one hiding, no way anyone could have entered without leaving a trace. I left immediately, checked out, never stayed in that hotel again. Even now, months later, I can't stay in a hotel without thinking about that night, about the way someone could be inside before I even arrived, watching, waiting, knowing my schedule, knowing every one of my movements. And sometimes when I book a new room, I can't shake the feeling that someone is already there, waiting. Because after that night, I understood. The safe place, the room you think is yours, is not always yours. And sometimes, the danger is closer than you realize.
I thought lodges were safe, quiet, rustic. Somewhere you could escape the chaos of the city and finally breathe. That's what I thought, until the night I learned the truth. I was staying in a small mountain lodge, about 2 hours outside the city. It was the kind of place with wooden walls, creaking floors, and a fireplace that promised warmth and comfort. The lodge had a few private rooms on the second floor, each with a bathroom, a bed, and a small desk. I arrived late in the evening after a long drive, and the sun had already set behind the mountains. The place was quiet, eerily quiet, but I liked it that way. The receptionist was a young woman who seemed friendly enough. She handed me my key and reminded me about breakfast in the morning. Nothing unusual. I drove my bag to the room on the second floor, walked down the narrow hallway with dim lights, and finally unlocked the door. That's when I noticed it. The smell. It wasn't unpleasant, at least not exactly. It was a combination of wood smoke, soap, and something else. Something sour. Something that smelled like someone had been there, breathing, sweating, moving. I stepped inside, flicking on the light. Everything looked normal.
The bed was made, the desk was clear, and the bathroom was empty. I set down my bag, trying to shake off the unease. Maybe it was my imagination. I was tired. I sat on the edge of the bed and tried to relax, but then I noticed the subtle signs. The blanket was slightly pulled back, the pillow slightly pressed. Not a big deal. Maybe housekeeping had been in earlier. But the Do Not Disturb sign had been hanging outside my door all day. That meant no one should have entered. I walked around the room slowly, inspecting everything. No forced entry, windows closed, bathroom door locked from the inside? No, it was unlocked. Closet closed. Everything seemed in place. But that feeling, the one that crawls up your spine when you know you are not alone, was getting stronger. I tried to distract myself, turned on the TV, flipped through channels. The static on some channels seemed louder than it should have been, like a faint whisper behind the sound. I laughed nervously, telling myself I was tired. Then I heard it, a soft shuffle, not from the hallway, not from outside, inside the room, from the bathroom. I froze. My heart started pounding. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe I left something in the shower to dry. Maybe the pipes were settling. But then it came again, shuffling, closer, slow, deliberate. I grabbed the flashlight from my bag and aimed it toward the bathroom. Nothing, just the closed door. I stepped closer, every muscle tense. "Hello?" I called softly. No answer. I took a deep breath, twisted the handle, and the door creaked open. Empty. Nothing. Towels folded neatly, toilet lid down, shower curtains still hanging perfectly. Nothing unusual. Nothing. Except for the smell. That sour smell was stronger here. I stepped back into the bedroom, trying to convince myself I was imagining it. I told myself I'd just had a long day. But then I felt it. The bed shifted. Not the mattress, actual weight. Someone was sitting at the edge, breathing, watching. I couldn't see anyone. I couldn't move. My body refused to react. Then came the whisper. Soft, calm, almost amused. "Nice room." I froze. The voice wasn't coming from the bathroom. It wasn't coming from the closet. It was everywhere, surrounding me. I tried to call the front desk, but my phone was dead. No signal. I was alone, trapped, and completely powerless. I remembered the emergency exit, the small balcony outside my window. Maybe I could climb down. But the door was locked from the outside. I was trapped. Then I heard footsteps, bare feet on wood, slow, patient. They moved from the bathroom toward the bed. I held my breath. Every step felt like an hour. The bed dipped slightly, as if the person was perched on the edge, leaning in. I could feel the air move against my skin, warm, heavy, breathing. "Didn't expect me?" the whisper whispered. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, but my mouth and legs refused to obey. I was paralyzed. I could only stare, pretending to sleep. Minutes passed, or hours. I had no idea. The breathing stopped. The bed shifted again, this time moving toward the middle. I felt a hand, cold, pale, impossibly long, brush my arm. Not hard, just enough to make me aware, a warning. I stayed still. My mind raced. I thought about breaking the window. I thought about jumping. I thought about dying. Anything seemed better than this presence. Suddenly, everything stopped. The air felt lighter. The bed was empty. The room looked normal. The bathroom was closed. The closet was shut. Nothing appeared to have happened. I waited until sunrise. Then I left. Didn't even shower. Didn't pack. I told the receptionist I had to leave. She asked why. I said nothing. She didn't press. Maybe she already knew. Maybe she had seen it too. Even now, when I think of that night, I feel the weight of that presence, that someone had been inside before I arrived, watching, waiting, knowing my every movement, knowing my schedule. Because after that night, I learned the truth. The safe place, the room you think is yours, is not always yours. And sometimes the danger is closer than you realize.
It was supposed to be a simple night out. I had just finished a long week of work and decided to treat myself. A quiet dinner, somewhere cozy, somewhere I could be alone with my thoughts. I chose an offbeat little restaurant downtown, the kind with low lights, heavy wooden furniture, and an intimate atmosphere. Nothing fancy, just comfort food, warm lighting, and soft music playing in the background. I arrived late, around 10 p.m., after the dinner rush had passed. The streets were nearly empty, and the neon sign outside flickered lazily. The door creaked as I pushed it open. I was greeted by the usual hum of leftover energy, the faint clatter of dishes being cleaned, a bartender polishing glasses behind the counter, and the faint scent of cooked food lingering in the air. The hostess gave me a polite nod and showed me to a small table at the back, near the restrooms. Perfect, quiet, out of the way. I ordered a drink and glanced at the menu. Nothing unusual, but then I noticed it, the faint sound of movement coming from the restrooms. At first I dismissed it, maybe a late staff member cleaning up or someone just finishing in the bathroom, but the noise didn't stop. It wasn't the usual clatter of pipes or doors. It was soft, deliberate, almost like someone pacing. I tried to ignore it. I sipped my drink and focused on my phone, scrolling through emails. The sound continued, rhythmic, moving from one stall to another. My heartbeat began to quicken. The restaurant was almost empty. How could someone be making that much noise? I set my phone down and listened. That's when I heard it, a whisper, just one word, soft but clear. Here. I froze, looked around. The bartender was polishing glasses, eyes focused on her task. No one else in the restaurant. The restrooms were at the far end, a small hallway separating them from the main dining area. My mind told me I was imagining things, but the hair on my neck stood up. Then I saw movement, a shadow slipping behind the restroom door, not rushing, not panicked, calm, purposeful. I told myself to stay calm. Maybe it was a staff member who forgot to lock a door, but something about the way the shadow moved didn't feel normal. I could sense it. Someone was waiting, watching, and I wasn't supposed to see them. I tried to continue eating, but my appetite vanished. Every bite felt heavy. Every sip of water tasted metallic. The whispers came again, this time multiple words, almost a chant. You shouldn't be here. Not yet. I looked toward the restroom. The door was slightly ajar. My stomach turned. The bathroom was dark inside, the overhead lights off. A single flicker of reflection from the mirror showed nothing, until I saw it. A figure, standing completely still, tall, thin, shadowed, no distinct features, just a silhouette, but I could feel its eyes, burning through the darkness, fixed on me. I jumped up. My chair scraped loudly against the floor. The figure didn't move. The air grew colder. My breath came out in short, visible puffs, even though the heater was on. "Hello?" I called, voice shaking. No response. I slowly approached the restroom, trying to rationalize everything. Maybe it was a trick of the lights. Maybe the angle of the mirror made a shadow appear human. But as I got closer, I noticed something chilling. The door was unlocked from the inside, and yet no one should have been in there. I stepped in. The tiles were cold under my feet. The smell hit me. cleaning products mixed with something sharp and acrid. The stalls were all empty, mirrors reflected only me, no sign of anyone. Then I heard the whisper again, right behind me this time. "Don't turn around." I froze, heart hammering. I wanted to run, but my legs felt like lead. The voice was soft, yet commanding, a warning, a threat. I forced myself to move, slowly glancing toward the nearest stall. The door opened on its own, creaking slowly, revealing nothing. Empty, just the harsh fluorescent lights and the faint echo of dripping water. I thought I was safe. I stepped out of the bathroom, breathing hard, trying to calm down. But then I noticed the table, my drink, my purse, my phone. Everything was exactly as I left it, except for one thing. The chair across from me was pulled out slightly, not fully, just enough, as if someone had been sitting there, watching me, waiting. I spun around. The main dining area was still empty. The bartender looked up at me, confused. "Everything okay?" she asked. Yes, I'm fine," I lied. My voice was trembling. I sat back down, but my eyes never left the chair. Minutes passed. I tried to act normal, tried to eat, but the feeling didn't leave me. The presence was still there, unseen but undeniable. I could feel it behind me, everywhere, breathing with me. Then came the sound of footsteps, not from the bathroom, not from the hallway, from the ceiling above me. I looked up. Nothing, just the wooden beams, dim lights, and the faint hum of the ventilation system. But the footsteps continued, soft, measured, moving across the ceiling above my table. I realized something. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't a mistake. Someone or something had been in that restaurant before I even knew it existed, and now it was letting me know. I didn't want to stay. I didn't want to move, but I had no choice. I grabbed my coat, shoved my purse over my shoulder, and ran toward the exit. The door was locked, not jammed, not stuck, locked from the outside. I pounded on it, screamed for help. The bartender rushed over, confusion on her face. She fumbled with the keys. Finally, the door opened, and I bolted into the cold night. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. Even then, I kept looking in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see a shadow following me. The next day, I called the restaurant. The manager apologized for any inconvenience. He said, "We've had some break-ins before, but nothing serious." I asked about the night before. The manager paused. "You weren't the only one here that night." I didn't understand. They found footprints on the floor leading from the bathroom to your table. But when we checked the cameras, nothing. No one entered, no one left. The lights didn't flicker. The doors were never unlocked. It's impossible. I stopped calling after that. There was nothing to say. Nothing could explain it. Nothing could make sense of the way someone or something had been in that restaurant before I even knew it existed. And even now, months later, I avoid restaurants like that one. I avoid quiet, empty places after dark, because I know the truth. The danger isn't always obvious. The threat doesn't always announce itself. And sometimes, the person waiting for you is already inside, watching, breathing, and waiting for you to notice. I've tried to forget. I've tried to tell myself it was a dream, my imagination running wild after a long week of work. But I remember the whisper, the command, the cold, calculating presence, the way it didn't need to move to terrify me. And sometimes, when I walk past a restaurant at night, I can feel it again, waiting, watching, waiting for the next one to arrive. Because that's what it does. It waits, always waiting.